Why are interest rates going up? Why can't the Bureau of Labor Statistics get their act together? That's got to be the question on everybody's mind as we end this first full week in June. Let's get into the housing market update. All right, the big three prices. Prices are steady, but coming down in certain parts of the island. Inventory is up, and rates are up too. We'll get into that. The headline news: Jobs Week comes in, all raring to go. We're excited about it, and then it just comes out and just pisses everybody off. All right, the Trump-Musk feud. Hey, this didn't help us at all either. And then rates shooting up to end of the week. Again, just stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about this here. All right, so the first jobs report that came out this week on Wednesday, that was the ADP Private Sector Employment Report, and this won 37,000 new jobs, which was way below the 115,000 jobs expected. And if you look at the chart here, you can see a steady decline in new jobs since March. This 37,000, the expectation was 115,000, and it's a clear sign that the labor market is slowing. It wasn't one sector over another. Small companies downsized 13,000, large companies down 3,000 jobs, medium-sized companies up 49,000, but wow, what a big shock, a big difference in what was expected, really a third of what was expected. Pace stayed the same really for job stayers and job changers, but this report really on Wednesday sent interest rates down. It was a beautiful thing. We were down really around 6.3%. This was a good start. This was a really good start. And on Tuesday, we had the JOLTS report, the Job Opening and Labor Turnover Survey. That actually was not a good report. It actually showed 7.39 million new jobs, or jobs open on the market, which is 200,000 more than what was expected. But Wednesday's report, this ADP report, had everybody liquored up for BLS, but some of us knew better and just based on history knew that happiness was not going to last. So let's go over the BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics jobs report that came out on Friday. And it came out, it was like a fart in church, baby. That thing stank. Job growth exceeded the 125,000 new hire forecast. It was up at 139,000. But what was interesting was the March to April revisions. They were 95,000 person division decrease. What does this mean? This means that when the BLS is giving their initial jobs report, it is so far off from being accurate. We have basically 108,000 lower than what was originally reported in March. That, my friends, is not very accurate and really lends to the lack of credibility that the Bureau of Labor and Statistics has with this report. It seems to be 180 out from the ADP jobs report, which is a private sector job report. It's off every single month. And there are two parts. There's a business survey and then there's a household survey. And the household survey is where we get the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate stayed at 4.2%, but it was actually up from last month. Last month was at 4.19%. Rounded up goes to 4.2. This month it was at 4.24%. If it were at 4.25%, it would have rounded up to 4.3%. Quite frankly, that's what we needed to see, and we did not see that. So really, on the surface, it looks like no change in unemployment, a lot more jobs created than expected. That's not good for what we need in the future, and that is the Fed to lower the Fed's fund rate. Because if they look at this report alone, they don't look at the revisions to the past. Again, 95,000 people off. Man, that is unsacked. And here's the thing, folks. If the BLS jobs report was accurate from the start, right, interest rates wouldn't have shot up after every one of these reports. It is estimated that interest rates would be a half a point lower if we actually had accurate BLS jobs reports every month, but we don't. And as a result, interest rates rose again this week to 4.5% for VA and 7% for conventional. An interesting thing as well, on Thursday, a Wall Street Journal article was released that discusses staffing shortages at BLS, at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and questions the integrity of the data that the BLS is collecting. And so I actually take from a friend who works at the Census Bureau. He says that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they are so far undermanned, and it is a running joke at the BLS that they have no idea what the numbers are going to look like. So in any case, this just shows how inaccurate this report is. But unfortunately, the markets react to the first report that comes out because the reports from the past, these negative revisions, hey, that's all in the past. That's in the past. All right, we're already looking at a May report that's in the past. So in any case, not a very good report. I know I spent a little bit of time on this here, but this is so important for people to understand that this report is inaccurate, but its inaccuracy is causing rates to go up instead of down. Now let's talk about President Trump. President Trump and Elon Musk got into a spat. That did not help the market on Thursday. That did not help the market at all. As a matter of fact, it didn't help our country because we need our leader to rise above the fray. I know President Trump, he loves to pick a fight. I'm cool with that. But when someone starts throwing stuff at you, you're the president of the United States. I don't care if he's the richest man in the world. You're the president of the United States, damn it. Rise above. And as a president of the United States, you need to set the example. You need to meet face to face, because when you're hiding behind your phone or your keyboard, you can say a lot of different things. All right. But when you're face to face with somebody, you typically try and come to some sort of amicable agreement, or at least some understanding. And right now, this does not help. We need President Trump and Elon Musk to get together, talk face to face. If I was a president, I would bring Elon Musk back right away and say, hey, what's going on? It could be because of the EV incentives that were taken out of the big, beautiful bill. You know what? And that sucks for Mr. Musk, but you know what? Let's talk about this. What can we do? Because not only is Elon Musk the richest man in the world, this man is given of himself on so many occasions. Let's think about North Carolina with the floods, where he made Starlink available to FEMA and to everybody else. And he even did that in Ukraine once the war broke out initially, over a year ago. So 2 years ago now. You guys got to get together. This is Larry the psychologist speaking. Let's get together. Let's talk face to face, mano a mano. Let's put this shit to bed, because we got more important things to do. And now I am off my soapbox. VA rates. Hey, we started the week below 6.5%. We could see this little dip. That was Wednesday. Thursday, it went up a little bit. Friday, forget it. We're above 6.5%, people. That's not good. Next week, we have CPI, the Consumer Price Index. That is the first look at inflation for the month. We also have the Producer Price Index, which doesn't carry as much weight as the CPI, but if we continue to show inflation slowing or coming down, then that will be very good for the Fed, which means the following week. Right now, if we had a good BLS jobs report that showed unemployment going up to 4.3% on top of inflation that showed it was coming down, there's a better chance that the Fed actually lowers the Fed funds rate. They have a reason to, but with a jobs report the way it was, and I'm going back to that jobs report again, the Fed really has an argument why they should not lower the Fed funds rate. I still think they're slow to react, and they're being reactive instead of being active. But hey, this is where we're at, and the rates are reflecting this probability that the Fed will not lower the Fed funds rate in 2 weeks. So what does this mean? People, we don't see this until we get the numbers, but mortgage apps down again. All right, they're down 4% last week. Refinance apps were down 4% last week. And this is a time typically when you see an increase in mortgage applications, but we're not seeing that right now, just because there is a lot of angst amongst people about the economy and about whether or not they should buy and about homes being unaffordable. So you're not seeing as many mortgage apps. That's why we need interest rates to come down. The housing market really drives the economy. When you have a robust housing market, you have a better economy. People are spending money. They're spending money on their house. They're spending money on vacations because they have equity in a home. The average amount of equity that homeowners have is $212,000, and that still keeps them at better than 20% loan to value. Home ownership is the key for our economy, and we need more people. We need more movement there. Inventory in Oahu is the highest it has been in over 10 years. And it's not going to go down anytime soon with rates being where they're at. But I will tell you this, I have at least 4 clients who are over $1.5 million searching and putting in offers. They're not holding back because they understand the value of home ownership. They understand what it means to live in Hawaii and what it does for your health, your mental and your physical health to be in Hawaii. So, hey, people who have money, they know. It's the first-time home buyers. A lot of VA buyers who are first-time home buyers are just, they just are scared, and I understand that. I was one of those people. I'm not one of those guys who's going to say, nah, you're this, but I've never done that. You're scared, but I've never bought a home before. Hey, I've been in your shoes. I've been in base housing. It took me forever to buy a home, and really now is the best time to buy, in particular on the west side of the island, because once rates do drop, and they will, man, those prices are going to go up, and it's going to be even harder for you to buy a home. Right now, it's not slim pickings. It's slim pickings for sellers to get buyers. There's a lot more sellers than there are buyers right now in the market, especially on the leeward side of Oahu. Sellers, hey, this week, spring season is turned into a week summer season. You must incentivize buyers or prospective buyers with credits to help them make the house affordable. It's not personal. It's the market. It's not personal. You may have to give up some credits. All right. You may, instead of making $150,000 on your sale, you may make $125,000. That's still pretty good. All right. That's about all I have for you this week. You guys have a great week. And hey, if you are a veteran, you're looking to buy a home either here or in another duty station, take a look at this next video. It talks a little bit about what we offer at the broker to help you become a homeowner in America using the best VA benefit that you have. That is your VA home loan benefit. All right, aloha.